Yes.
Your little toe rag is still alive.
Yes. Thank you very much. And now you might have inflated his ego, so beware.
No, I know.
There you
There we go.
go. Buckler, defense value B.
Okay.
Round shield, defense value R.
Yeah. I was wondering
Yeah.
what is it? One /R for the attack defense?
But so it's just an abbreviation of buckler, round shield, and kite shield.
Yeah, tower shield.
Yeah.
And so fortunately for us,
It's weird.
we're not all that. The right hand side doesn't matter, but the defending weapon class and stuff does.
It matters if you have a shield.
It actually gives you. Well, no, this part matters. This part.
Yeah, for normal weapons.
Right.
Yes.
And the important part about that is that the bonuses are much bigger than we've been allowing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're getting like increments of 10s and 5s, not 1s and 2s.
But
So-
shields it's the same for shields. It's just they're even larger and always been a
Exactly.
defender.
Yeah.
Good to know because I have a shield.
Mm-hmm.
Well, other than a buckler, which if the attacker has a really good weapon, the buckler is actually benefits the attacker rather than the defender. Again,
That's silly. That's just silly.
I want. It's one of those. I want the designer notes.
I need clarity on the last interactions between Artor and Oswin.
Yes.
And as I recall, there was the conversation in your room where you're resting comfortably
Yes.
and watching your injury points
Slowly.
Slowly. And you had a conversation with him. And I clarified that the character's belief of what one another is saying or interpretation of what each other is saying is completely up to the player in this game. So there's none of this, rhetoric rolling among player characters. So that's up to you to decide how obvious his blatant lies were. And also the important piece though was, I think there was an intrigue roll among you at some point.
I rolled. No, not intrigue. You rolled intrigue.
Yes,
right.
Further has something important from Petrain.
Right. Right. Yeah, you were able to put it together.
Yes.
And what?
That's what the important thing that I gathered from the most important thing for me. He has something. I don't know what. Something from Petrain.
Right. And the other critical role was to not critical, but the other very important result was that you failed to spot the monster.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah, exactly.
Back in there.
And so that could have been interesting. I will need my monster materials. I believe that took us up through the afternoon or maybe even beyond in the day, because you fought the guy either in the late morning or the afternoon.
Morning, I think.
Morning.
Still there? So, okay, so we're still probably in about the middle of the day.
Yes.
And what that leads us to is your characters. What I need is a kind of mental snapshot of where you are turning your attention. Because as usual, we have to go back to the moment-to-moment problems of Fergal. And so therefore, we have to have an idea of what motions you're going through as context. So what motions are you going through?
Yeah, I think it's rather obvious. I think Osquin is first finding Ymir and then going to look for Fergal.
Okay.
Because it's next sort of logical sort of point of investigation.
And then for you,
not gonna follow you, but we're also go to search for Fergal to see, like, make sure that he doesn't blab his mouth about the wrong things around people.
as a laborer family,
Yes.
you have very, very good awareness of this part of town and everybody in it and where they could be. So that's actually pretty easy for you to know where to look.
Yeah.
Whereas you getting Ymir first is fine, but it will take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
How's your injury points doing?
Injury points is currently the injuries is 8 and total physical is 23.
Okay. So therefore, you're still, walking a little bit carefully.
Yes.
Right. But you're not.
I'm not running. I'm taking my time,
Right.
making sure I don't trip and fall down. I still have an injury in my thigh.
That's right. Right. Yeah. That's so clearly we can see that you're favoring the thigh as you go down the steps.
Might be slightly suspicious if you've been interrogated and then you just run away. No, I didn't do it. I stopped to check a thing.
Never step going down.
I just remembered something.
Oh yeah.
I waited so long to make sure Osborne is not nearby, then I go.
Right. Absolutely.
No, okay, you're leaving? Okay, I'm coming with.
Absolutely.
Not that.
All right. So we know where the two of you are headed, and we know the time scale involved. Your situation is that we are now more of I would say a yard.
Yeah.
Which probably has some workbenches, and perhaps even a well-used fire pit for whatever purpose. And there are several different fairly low-grade sleeping quarters. I would say one step up from stables, sort of stables for humans.
Okay, yeah.
Right, but not much more than that.
Yeah.
And you have been in one of those. And that's what, the fellow
Okay.
did try to run out.
Yeah.
But you, of course, raced up behind him and finished.
Yes.
So there you are, as this poor fellow is very dead. There's the club back in the room.
Yeah.
There are a few splintered corners of wall or furniture or the edge of the door or something like that from where his strikes landed or clipped. And you're there with a fair amount of, well, you'd see you did finish him, right, with when he was unconscious, and so therefore you've probably got a fair amount of blood on you.
Oh, yeah.
From that
Oh, yeah.
moment in
Yeah,
particular.
Definitely. And probably earlier as well.
Yeah, right.
It was a knife fight.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and so you have you're just basically straightening up from this when the son of Hivrik and Eluid and a couple of his friends enter into the yard where they themselves had felt the need to come and have a discussion with you. Whereas this particular display in front of them might make them kind of reconsider their options. And in fact, they're all a little startled So the question is, what are you going to say or do?
What was the name of the...
Eled.
Yeah, and the organization. The local mafia.
Oh, right. Liek Kver.
Liek Kver, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just... I'm straightening my back. Look at them.
Oh, this is a new look for Fergal.
yes.
Isn't he rather tall, actually?
Sorry?
Isn't he rather tall, actually?
I think he might feel tall because he's a scrawny dude.
Yeah.
So I'm standing up and say, look at this. This is a minion of the Liek Kver. Did I say right? Come here into our very sanctum to murder one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we must punish them all.
Eled will sort of stare.
The will of Morgoth is with us. We go into homes, into their houses, and finish them all, even their families.
There, he's just kind of still processing. You killed him. It's indisputable. I mean, he's just looking at
the first of many.
Yeah. And one of his friends kind of pulls his arm, kind of we need to reconsider, what we had, what we discussed. We need to reconsider this, and let's try some rhetoric. And I'll actually boost you by I know you're terrible, but I will boost it by your skill base.
Okay, so 42 instead of 32.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I have 32 and 10 as a base. And that's a huge failure.
No, it's not.
I know it's a
marginal failure.
It's just a huge number.
So they're not swayed by your exact directive, but on the other hand, they don't think that somehow you're lying about everything, and it's still pretty clear that you killed this guy, and they're trying to cope with that more than your policy statement.
Yeah.
But they're not quite as cowed by you.
No,
you did not deliver this with the proper diaphragm.
No, with my horrible voice and
the
slight demeanor, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And Eled is kind of looking back at you and trying to tell them, come on, don't listen to this idiot. Actually, that should have been oratory.
That's even worse. So yeah.
Well,
it's
still that role is not going to go anywhere.
No.
So therefore, I think that it is. I'd have to say they kind of say, okay, all right, Fergal, sure.
Yeah.
Let's. Aled basically falls back on his old authority figure and says, my dad will settle this. And he kind of looks and said, you're not supposed to just, kill people. We're not getting paid for it.
The pleasure is payment enough.
Ooh, you're practicing. I'll get that roll one of these days, right? And he's
and as I say that, I bend down and cut off the air.
Ooh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, yuck.
All right. One for the collection.
Okay.
I have a few now.
Yeah, I see that. The
necklace.
Oh, jeez. So he kind of gulps a little bit and goes, well, come on. And he is no stranger to dead bodies.
No.
So he does come over and says, come on, guys, let's check this guy out. Sensible thing to do, right? They
could be tattoos or anything.
Yeah,
just maybe recognize him.
And one of them, says the guy's name. Says, "Oh yeah, that's so and so." But just as they do that, they're coming into range of you.
Okay.
And so within 1 or 2 meters of you.
Yeah, I'm not going to stab them.
I know that. The shadow.
Maybe.
The shadow of Bukharai descends upon one of them.
Okay. Is that bad?
I don't know. I haven't read that part.
You have read it?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I have read the reference.
A check against will.
Oh no.
By everyone within range. Which this isn't the spell. This is actually emanating from you as a feature now.
Okay.
and it's in daylight, so the range is they had to be quite close. It's only one of them.
Okay.
It has to be like this close.
Yeah.
In this point. And so the this guy, I'll just put them at will 10, right? It's sort of basic. And he actually makes it.
Okay.
But this guy shudders and turns pale and distances himself from you, as quickly as possible. And the others kind of look at him, and he's like shaking his head.
Oops.
And the others are like, they're starting to like look at you, again. Okay, so anything you want to do?
Is there anything? Can I do some will or intelligence to if I react to this being strange, perhaps? Do I sense this? Of course, this is a strange phenomenon for someone to behave that way, but
do you have religious stuff under your knowledge? There's ritual, which is often used as kind of your general knowledge of your religion, right? Go ahead and do religion or do ritual, just as sort of a knowledge check.
There, yes.
Which is not great, but we're working on it.
Yep. I failed.
Okay.
Minor failure.
Yeah. It seems to you as though you're thinking to yourself, maybe I should have studied harder. But that's, it's something to do with Morgoth, but you don't know what.
Okay,
and are beginning to kind of wonder what is this?
Yeah.
The others are looking at the guy, and he kind of gulps out and he says, "This shadow." And they're like, "What?" Says, "I will, I have to go." Much like we were joking a minute ago. I remembered something. I have to go. The yard is kind of open. It's not like would there be a gate?
I don't.
No, this is more of a general use yard.
Yeah,
people come and work here.
And I'm guessing the sanctum has like a false front or something, so it just looks like some form of normal house, I guess, since it's it's a bit it's open but not that open, I guess.
Well, the way I see it is that there's a reasonable cover for
like fish gutting or something like that.
Yeah, there's a reasonable cover for this, and but this is really the workspace where they do that. That would be more down by the water. Yeah, but maybe it's like it's a general purpose area where a lot of people from the neighborhood could come and do things. Yeah. And so I don't think there's like a gate there. No. But standing at the outer margin, so coming from outside and from more public street area, is Hivrik. Okay. And he's staring. The guy runs past him and is talking about the shadow, and he doesn't like flee in terror so much as he just wants to kind of not be here. Yeah. And he even says to Hivrik and kind of points over there and says, go over there, and Hivrik comes up, and he, of course, is perfectly capable of making a ritual roll. Yeah. I'll just make sure he doesn't fumble it entirely, which he doesn't. Oh. And so therefore he gets a good clue and comes over to you. Aled says, "Father," and he says, and he pushes him roughly aside, falls to his knees in front of you, holds up his hand. Will you take his hand? He wants you to take his hand. Yeah, I'm awkwardly. I'll take his hand. Okay, right. You're gored. Your bloody hand, right? I don't really understand what's happening either. So I mean, sure.